One of the hardest things about being a solo musician is taking that step where you have to move on from your practice bedroom, from your dark cave, your studio, wherever it is that you're working, and incorporating other musicians, forming a group, forming a band. And that can be a scary step and one of the hardest ones. But maybe there's an easier way to do it that can walk you through getting to that goal. Let's have a think on that. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. This is one I've been wanting to make for a while. I think it is honestly one of the toughest things that we go through as musicians, trying to find ways to collaborate with others, to form groups, to up our earning potential as musicians, as with, booking bands and putting together better music by working with other individuals, all of those things. But there's so many hurdles in the way. There's so many, what do I have to do? Where do I start? It's just overwhelming. So the big thing we did here is we went out of our way, made a step-by-step guide with 6 simple steps in a PDF form that you can download. It'll all be below. And there's a printable version where you can just print it out, write all the steps on there, write down all your information. Or there's a interactive version. And of course, that one you can just type on your computer, on your tablet, on your phone, whatever it is, just to keep the information with you at all times. And print that out if you want to take it with you anywhere. All those things are available below, free. Just click on it, go pick it up, download it, use it. That's what it's there for. And we're going to walk through all those steps today and just kind of go step by step on what you need to get in order before you start taking this journey. And I promise if you take the time to fill out these forms, this quick PDF, this quick how-to basically, and you have those things ready to go, when it comes time to start putting the ads together, if you want to reach out on social platforms or websites, or when you need to sit and talk to people and say, what are we doing? What's the over idea? What do I need to know? You'll have everything organized and ready to go. You'll have coherent thoughts and be able to get your points across quicker and be able to evaluate the potential members much quicker. So without wasting any time, just before we get started, this is kind of part of a 2-part episode. First, we're going to talk about the steps that you can go through that you can follow to make this happen. The next episode next week is honestly one I have been looking forward to for a whole year. And it is we won't give it away too much, but it's a great gear how-to to do this exact same thing, and how to build an amazing piece of gear that is going to help you throughout the rest of your career. And so if you haven't, take the time to subscribe, follow us, whatever it is, just make sure you don't miss that episode. And if this helps you at all, of course, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Any of those things really do help. But let's get right into the episode. Let's talk about the first step on our PDF form here. Besides, writing your name and all those kind of things at that first page, just make sure you have all that information, especially if it's printed out, so it doesn't fall in the wrong hands. But we're going into step 1 here, and it's one of the most important things this is what's so valuable about this. You get to sit down, and step 1 is to define your vision, to make sure that in your head, the idea that you have, those, endless nights of sitting in the bed of saying, here's what I want, here's how I want to get there, and all those things, get them on paper so that you can see them, you can refine them, and most importantly, when you can convey to another person, you can communicate exactly what I'm looking for and what it needs to be and what I'm thinking, or how we can meet somewhere in the middle. If your vision doesn't match with my vision, how are we going to make this mesh? Or maybe it just won't. But you would never know that without having that defined. So step 1, you need to outline your vision for the band. And of course, the first line underneath this is you got to define what genre. And it doesn't mean that you're going to stick to this. This is a steadfast. It's the only thing we'll ever be. You just need to have a basic idea of where in this wide world of music that exists, where's your lane going to be? Where are you going to start out with? You have to have that defined. So just a basic idea, even just like pop or blues or rock or heavy metal, whatever it is, just something, classical, country, whatever it may be, just have that written down so that you at least have that starting point. So after that, it's a great thing that like we said, if you have those ideas in your head where you sat down at night or, laid in bed and you have these visions, this is where you write down your starting goals. Is your goals to just be out and play a couple shows? Is your goal just to play one show a year? Maybe there's a festival and you want to get a band together for just that one show. Maybe you just want to get a group together to record with. You've been recording on your own and you want to get a great group together to take that next album on, and you just want to have, a drummer and a bass player and a piano player, or keys or something, all those kind of things. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe you have more ambitious goals where you want to be gigging weekly and you want to be out getting ready for a tour and those kind of things. All that is listed here to make sure that you, when it comes to start putting your ad together and when you start telling other people that are potential members, here's where I want to wind up. Do our goals align? And it's really quick and easy to see if like, no, I just want to play, once a couple weeks, maybe twice a month. I'm too busy. I've got a family. I've got work. It really weeds out the ones that aren't going to mesh with you, or maybe you're that person, which is more than okay. I love those kind of musicians that I can only make this much work, but I make it work and I get the most out of it and adds to my life and I get to share with the world. That's fantastic. But as long as it's defined and you can find other people that might mesh with that and work together. The next one here is going to be the most common one that you see if you go onto like Craigslist or Facebook or whatever it may be, whatever site you might go and try to find other band members. Usually it's just a long list of influences. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I find more and more that it really doesn't define anything. It doesn't help. I want a band I like Alice in Chains. I want to be like Alice in Chains. Or, I like this country artist. I want to be like Keith Urban, and that's great. Your influences are fantastic. That's something you guys can talk about the first couple times that you're sitting down and talking with other potential members or auditions, whatever that may be. But I don't know if it should be a huge part of whatever first ad, or if you're doing anything written to promote this journey as you're trying to get other people to join your group. If they ask your influences, you should have them written down and be able to share those. But honestly, this is just for me. How you do your journey is all up to you, and it works for a lot of people. I guarantee you there's some people that are seeing this and saying, well, that's all I did. I listed, I like this and band. Me and Fred got together. He liked the same bands and it worked out great. It does work. Don't get me wrong. But have them written down. Have the influences that are going to be most influential on the project that you want to do and the vision of your group, so that it's relevant, and be able to share those. But they shouldn't be the first and only thing you're listing off. Like this band here, let's do this. You're just going to run into too many headaches. Moving on to that, you can write down some of the band name ideas. You don't have to commit to anything at all at this point. You may commit to it at this point, but having a couple ideas like this is what I'm thinking, or in this line, you can even jot down bands that you like and you love their name, those kind of things. The idea, so that you can start sparking the ideas there. And then we'll move on to step 2. That's step 1. Every page has a little page for notes on it there, so you can add in a little additional notes. I always find that very helpful to have, just because you don't know. Sometimes you have an idea pop up, or somebody says something, you don't know where to put it. Just having that little extra space does help. So we're going to move on to step 2 here. So we go from step 1, where we've defined the overarching idea. We have everything written down that would give us the outline of what we want to do. Step 2 is to network and spread the word. And this is one that is hard for a lot of people, especially if you're just moving out of like the basement or out of your bedroom, just playing as a one musician. You've been doing your practicing, you've been playing your songs, you've been learning, and then you just don't know what that next step is. This one can be one of the hardest ones. And that's okay if this is one that intimidates you or that you just don't feel like you can do. It's okay to move on to step 3, but I would really, really highly encourage you to look deeper into this one, where you network and spread the word, because this is honestly where you're going to find the highest quality candidates to join you as a member. Now, this is all about going out and talking to people, which is honestly coming from somebody who's a huge introvert and will shy away from people at any chance I can. I know it's one of the hardest things, but it's one of the most rewarding parts of being a musician, and networking, connecting with other people that like to do the same things you do, that understand art and music in the way that you do and what it means. It is one of the best things about being a musician. So if you can go out and go to an open mic, that's a fantastic way to meet other like-minded musicians in that same situation, usually trying to either they're solo musicians and they want to move on and they don't know how, or they haven't even thought about it, and maybe if you just present the idea of forming a group because you liked their song, what they shared with everybody, or their talents, or you see something like a diamond in the rough, that kind of thing, and you float the idea, they might jump right on it. So, going to those open mics is a huge, huge win. And other things, going to concerts at local venues, supporting the artists, talking to them during their breaks or afterwards, saying how much you liked it, getting the word out that, hey, I loved your music. I'm kind of in the same realm. I'm actually starting to form a group. If you know anybody, here's my name and number, here's my card, whatever you have to share. And if you just pass on the word, if you know anybody, please just get the word out there. That's a great way to start building connections and getting the word. Like, hey, I actually know another guy that was asking about joining the other day. We already had a great bass player, but he was looking. I've heard so many great people connecting that way, and talk to many people, finding friends and connections that way. Obviously, the other ones is using your personal social media networks. If you're a musician, you're probably following lots of other local musicians, using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to an extent, but any of your social networks, you can put the word out using that. Just, hey, I'm trying to form a band. If anybody knows anybody, I'm looking for this. You can list off the whatever it may be. I'm looking for a bass player, a drummer, a guitar player, and a lead guitar player, a vocalist, whatever it may be. Just throw that out there in the world. Use the tools you have available to you. And of course, if you know any other musicians that you may not even have to go out and play shows, if you just happen to know other musicians in your area that you work with, collaborate with, or do anything with, go ahead and reach out to them. Use them. Say, hey, I'm trying to reach out and find other people. What's your network look like? You have anybody looking for work? Anybody trying to form a group? Just put the feelers out there. And more often than not, it's not that you're going to get those instant results. Like, yeah, here's so-and-so. Those are great. They do happen. But more so, it's going to get that seed in other people's head. Like, yeah, I don't know anybody right now, but if I do, but I will let them know. I will pass on the word. And then when it comes to, they're just sitting down, having a couple of drinks with people, and like, yeah, I'm trying to get a group together. Oh, I know the perfect situation. That comes up. They pass your information around. They drop your name in that conversation. And that's a great way. And more often than not, that's how you're going to get that word out there. So it pays off more long-term. And like I said, this is usually going to be your higher quality candidates using this method here. Moving on, like maybe I said, that doesn't work for a lot of people. Maybe you move on straight on to this next step here. But step 3 is using online platforms. And all of us have been in that situation where this is how we've met a group, or we've met other musicians to work with. It's one of the first steps that we try to use. And if it works out, it's great. But my personal learning experience with this and experience over time is that you're going to do a lot more work weeding through the weird, bad, horrible candidates this way versus any of the other ways. And using online platforms, we're talking about, this is where you're using Craigslist or just using Facebook ads, Bandmix, joinmyband.com, Vamper, all these websites and platforms. And you're putting out there that here's what I want to do. Here's the group I'm looking to form. And you're going to be sifting through a lot of different names and different things, and a lot of people that have their own vision for certain things. And that's why it's great if you have taken the time to write down your overall arcing vision, if they aren't fitting through those things that you had set in stone. Like, I want this to happen. Here's what I'm looking for. If they don't align with that, it's much easier just to say no, next, no, yes, possible candidate, move into that pile. And that's going to help this part a lot. So just make sure that part was done. And then, there's a little space underneath this one that I would just make sure that go ahead and write out a quick ad. Write down what you want to do, what you want to communicate to other people. I'm looking to form this band that, state your goals. I'd like to be out playing shows and recording music. I would like to be playing this many times a week. I want to practice this many times. All those things should be defined in as much as possible by making it fun and using the best way you can to convey that. Put that ad right there just so that you can copy and paste it or generate or, I don't know the exact word I'm looking for here, but take those words and reuse them and put that out there and share that. Now, there's also a huge list here, or a huge space to put musicians contacted. That seems a little weird, but I find that if I don't write that down, I wind up replying to the same musician multiple times because either they've put out an ad, so I'll reach out to them, but I've already talked to them, or we've already conversed like, hey, this might not work for both of us. I'm glad we talked. If you need anything, if I hear anything, that kind of exchange. But because I forgot to write their name down, or I'm horrible with names and I didn't put any information down, I wind up rehashing the exact same things, wasting time. So this is a great place to just write down the names of people that you've already talked to. And of course, any responses with a yes or anything like that, just put it like, or this is a great candidate, put their names there. Make sure you have that available as you're moving forward, because that'll take you straight on to step 4 here. And that's hold auditions and meetups. And, any of those people that you moved into that yes category, or possibly, that goes here where you have to set up a meet and greet or you have to set up an audition. So I would suggest using this to write down where you're going to hold your auditions and the locations. And of course, write down what dates you want to do this. Have a set amount of days. If it's like one Saturday every month until you get the band formed, or once every couple months, have those dates written down so that when you start to get those candidates and you find a yes, you can instantly reply and say, that's great. I'm holding auditions or meetups this day. I'll get a hold of you with more information. Just give me your email. And it starts to get that ball rolling. So make sure that you get that taken care of. And then we'll talk about and of course, you make a list here of the musicians you have attending. That way you have their name. I would also write down any information, contact information they gave you, emails, a number that you can text, all those kind of things. Have that written down there. And then the last one on this step here is criteria for selection, where you're going to write down what a good band member or a bad band member might be, like your breaking points or not. But from there, along in that same site, in that same spot where you're getting this free information, this free PDF, I went ahead and created a criteria for band member cheat sheet that you can use to fill out this section. And again, I'd say this is almost as important as that first page where you're defining your overall goals and what you want your group to look like. I'd say this is almost as important to take the time to do this, to go through this list and break down what's important for you to have in a band member and what's not. And this is just a page and a half list of quick things, but this is not what they should be. No human can aspire to be all these things. It's not realistic. No person is this great, and I wish they were. And I know I'm not in all of these, but it really helps you define what's important to you for this group and what's not important. So just the first example on that cheat sheet that is available for you for free is musical skills and experience. Maybe it's not that important for you. Maybe it's your first time out. Maybe you don't care that much. And maybe, them being proficient at their instrument or what their skill is they're adding to the group isn't that important. Maybe they're starting just like you. Maybe there's room to grow and you're okay with that. That's where you define this. Doesn't have to be top edge skill, just has to have the right attitude, that kind of thought process. Again, right underneath that, experience. Maybe it doesn't matter that they haven't been to many bands or played many live shows. You'll learn together. Or maybe you've been doing this a while and you want to get a top-notch project together, and they better have at least 5 shows under their belt or played a festival or 2. And all those kind of things. I want references. I want dates. I want pictures. I want proof. Those kind of things. If that's important to you, this is the time to define that. And there's just a whole list of those. But go through, write down extremely, and I would say even have a list of questions that you're going to ask these people that would, if something on this list pops out to you that it's very important to me, have a question designed to ask them that's going to give you a yes or no on that. Are they going to be, like, if we take, for example, just how about chemistry and compatibility, ask about their creative visions. Is it going to align with this? Maybe get a bass player that says, I don't care. I don't care what the creative vision is. I want to record music. I want to be out playing live music in front of others. I like the genre. So whatever it is underneath that, I'm going to be very happy to contribute to and be a part of. Fantastic. But if you come with a bass player, it's like, I want to be writing, half the songs. I want to be the lead singer on a couple songs. And maybe that's not aligning with the vision you were going for. and just because you asked that question, you knew what was important, what criteria you needed that person to meet, instantly just weeds them out of the competition for joining this group and saves you a lot of time. But again, download that. It's for free. It's ready to go. All linked below, of course. So on to step 5. And this one is establish communication and roles. And the important part about this one is just defining what everybody's going to be doing or what they can add to the group beyond just being a musician. These are the things that can take you from just being an idea of a group to something that is functional and moves forward, and it becomes, lucrative for everybody, both spiritually, if you want to use that term, creating something and doing something big, but also financially moving forward, making this a lucrative endeavor, which, takes years, can take a lot to get to that point, but it doesn't get to that point without taking these steps. So you got to, one, define your practice schedule, make sure that you're all on the same page of how often we're going to practice, how often are we going to meet up? Are we going to have different practice schedules for big events? Like if we have festivals coming up, does it change? Have all that defined so nobody's blindsided. Next, I would move on to the songwriting process. It's very important to know who's doing the songwriting. Is it just one person? Is it a couple of you? Who's bringing the music to present to the group? Or, now who's recording it or doing demos and sending to the group? Have that process defined so you're not blindsided by, I'm expecting so-and-so to do so, or somebody shows up with a song like, I got an idea. I'm not saying that should be just turned away, but if it's not their responsibility, it's not something that they have to go and think about or be constantly working on. The next space is to define the roles and responsibilities. That's fantastic for just making sure that when you're finally starting to get these group together, you've got defined members and everybody's on the same page. Is a great time to say who's doing what in the group, who's responsible for getting the equipment together, who's going to be hauling all the equipment, who's in charge of getting the website, who's doing social media work, who's doing, press reach out, and, all these kind of things before you have a manager. This is where you define, make sure that everybody's got something on their plate and not one person or two people doing everything, because I promise you that's a recipe for disaster that's just going to blow up in your face, because somebody's going to get burnt out or somebody's going to feel left out, and it's just not going to work. And then, of course, next, it seems very just superficial, one stupid box to fill out something, but please define your communication methods. If somebody doesn't want to be texted at night, list it here. If you're going to talk through a group chat, make sure it's right here. That's where we keep everything so everybody can see what's going on. Nobody's left out of the loop. You don't forget to include somebody, because that will happen. If you choose to do it over email, make sure that everybody's got their emails listed. Just define how you're going to communicate meetups, changes, all those kind of things right here. Very important. And then moving on to the very last step here, step 6, build chemistry and have fun. Now this one step, if you've gone through everything else, is that one step that can take you from you have a group together, it could be something, to I found something great. This goes from I've met some friends, I've met some people, we did a thing, to I've made lifelong friends and we're taking on the world together. And I still have friends just because of this one area of this particular part of having a band, that we're still friends. They're on to different projects. I'm on to different projects. But we're still communicate. We're still friends. I still want to root for them and see them win. But doing these little things can take your group from just a group of guys to a cohesive unit. You see the same thing in sports. I know I use sports analogies probably too much for some people, but it's always the biggest winners, the biggest contenders, especially anybody that's talking about like long-term success, like a dynasty winning year after year after year. Those groups are always cohesive, chemistry-based groups, never star-driven, one or two huge players. It almost never works for a long-term winning solution. I could debate you all day and show you the numbers, but those that work together and form a team and a cohesive unit go so much further, last so much longer, reach heights that they never could have done by themselves. So how would you do that? Of course, one of the big ones you can do is just go on outings, do things that are not music related. Go have dinner together. Go and have some drinks with each other. Those kind of things where you can just sit down, relax, talk, learn more about each other, learn more about if you have significant others, children, friends, what's your background, all those kind of things that fill in the gaps and really build that unity together. Find ways to do that. Even if it's just like, hey, we all like the same group, they're coming around, go to the concert together, do that. That's a huge, super easy way to kind of build that chemistry. Another one that I does twofold is to just have jam sessions. Um, and if you right now in your head said, well, that's just practice, then shame on you. That's not what it should be. That's not what practice is. I'm talking about a jam session where you have no agenda. You don't play songs that you know. You play nothing that you already either currently play or anything like that. No covers, nothing like that. You go in and you just jam. Let's play this song in this key. I have this groove. I have this riff. Let's just play. And just having nothing and building nothing or something from nothing can build a group together and really show you where their strengths lie, where their weaknesses are, where they fit in the group. It can show you what the style is going to be for the group, what to look forward to. Just a couple of these jam sessions really will bring things together. Like I said, have no agenda, just playing music, and you're basically just coming out and say, this is me as a musician. We have nothing. I'm going to be improvising. We need to communicate because none of us know what's going on here. That really starts to define how things are going to work, where they're going to go from there. And it's one of the best tools out there. You should utilize it if you could. And then, of course, you can still do like practices, but find fun ways to enhance those practices. Bring in a song to cover that everybody got to work on before, but it's outside of your genre, and it's going to kind of expand people's repertoire and their knowledge and all those kind of things. Have pizza parties during practice, all those kind of things. I would avoid doing drinking games during that, but finding ways to make it fun. Whatever works for you and your group, your situation, find a way to take it to that next level and make it fun. And then, of course, if it really comes down to it, you could do those team working exercises. It works for a lot of people. If that's something you want to try, go ahead and do it. But there's lots of, if you just research it, look up online, team exercises for musical groups. And there's so many great examples of what you can do, what you can try, just ways to connect and build that chemistry. So that's the 6 easy ways that you can run through to take those first steps from just being a solo musician, moving out into the world and taking on building a group and doing more with other people. I just want to quote somebody who I respect more than probably anybody else in this world, and that's my own father, Ed Wing. And we talk about this a lot, and he is very adamant that, groups almost never work. Bands don't stay together. They fall apart, and they never work, and it's always just egos, and the thing when he's saying this is, I agree. He is exactly right. It is what the hardest part about this is just working with other people. Humans make things difficult. But I want to put this out there too. And as much as I agree with my dad, and he's right, there's another side to that coin. There are heights and there are levels that you can't reach by yourself. Again, everything that means anything is accomplished with others and celebrated with others. There are things that you can't do and you can't write and you can't play without other people behind you challenging you, lifting you up, giving you reasons to push forward, or in some cases, breaking you down, telling you what you're missing, or telling you the things that you can't see. And that's the whole thing behind this. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's hard. Yes, groups don't work many, many times. But the levels that you can reach, the highs that you can experience, the level you can reach as a songwriter, a musician, and a human being don't exist without taking this step. So please consider it, take the time to do it, reach out, make a band. And then at the end of this, there's a special place just for notes. So make sure you utilize that. Anything that doesn't fit in one of these and you just need to write it down, special notes, anything like that, use that page. That's on there for you. If none of this works, and if you hit that spot where I've reached out, I've tried Craigslist for 6 months, a year, I've tried Facebook, I've got a couple people together, it didn't work, whatever it may be. Please stay tuned for our episode next week. Of course, give us a subscribe so it pops up when it's done. And we're going to show you how that you, as a solo individual, can go out there, play the music that you've written and recorded. If it has multiple layers to it. I know there's a lot of people out there that my music sounds a certain way, and I tell people that they don't understand it. You can show them. You can go out there and play live shows with music behind you, with backing tracks, with all the accoutrement you need to be a professional musician, and you can recruit that way by showing and not telling. So if you're interested in that piques your interest, make sure to follow us. It's going to be on next week's episode. Great episode. Don't miss that. Subscribe. Give us a like if this helped in any ways. All the downloads are down below. Pick them up. They're free. That's what we do for everybody. There's a long list of great things on there. Use them. And we'll see you on that next episode next week. Don't miss it. Bye.